witness a
special event.
This is Sci-Fi.
Never give up, never surrender.
My Dreadfire's hammer, you shall be avenged.
All systems are working, Commander.
It's been 20 years since TV audiences first thrilled to the sight of the NSEA Protector as it traveled through space on its way to distant galaxies.
I don't like it. It's too easy.
Each week, its crew of daring space adventurers took on a new mission and a new foe.
Trapped.
We're surrounded, Commander.
Nothing ever stopped this intrepid band of space pioneers. No matter what they encountered, they were always in control.
Surrender may be our only option.
No, never give up, never surrender.
Well, I have to say that it was, well, sort of the high point of my career. I got to dress up and pretend I was the commander of a spaceship. And I got paid for it. Although not much. We had an AFTRA problem. That we were trying to merge the contracts, and we didn't know whether we were, I shouldn't get into that stuff.
Now, for the first time since the show's abrupt cancellation in 1982, the original cast members of Galaxy Quest have reunited for a major motion picture. Catch up with Jason Nesmith, Gwen DeMarco, and Alexander Dane as they share their adventures and tell the real stories behind the legendary TV show that has become America's #1 science fiction cult classic.
All Gwen had to do was worry about her hair, and she's not around, is she?
Sometimes I felt like, you know, sort of the camp counselor with a bunch of, like, toddlers. You know, kind of the practical one.
Now, I wasn't sure that it was going to be for quite such a long time, or indeed that 15 years on I'd still be talking about it, but of course I'm thrilled.
In the dawn of the new millennium, what better time to take a look back at this visionary television series? Buckle your seatbelts and prepare to discover the real stories in the Galaxy Quest 20th Anniversary Special. The journey continues.
What Galaxy Quest did best was ask probing questions about the nature of humanity and the world.
Galaxy Quest is not just an experience out into space, but inside your individual heart as a person.
It's really struck a nerve in the, the heart of most Americans, I think.
I'll admit it, the sets look fake and nothing really made sense, but I sort of see it as a metaphor for my own life.
Well, being on the show meant not having to do guest starring roles on Fantasy Island or The Love Boat, which I didn't mind because that girl was pretty attractive.
We went off the air 20 years ago, and I think that was probably a little premature by about 20 years.
I think it was a mistake to cancel us.
So I think that they just gave up because they didn't think, space was where it was at.
We had some pretty rabid fans, and there were people all upset all over the country.
I had people call me all the time, sending me letters, asking me for scripts, asking me for props. They wanted to buy this. Do you have any? I still get letters.
It's always nice to see good work being honored.
A lot of the qualities in the TV show harken back to an earlier time, 15, 20 years ago, when this country was in a different kind of shape. Heroism was a different thing.
This is funny. We did try to get Orson Welles to direct a few episodes. We had this one called The Blibbering Blimp, which is about an alien that was filled with hydrogen.
And now, back to the Galaxy Quest 20th Anniversary Special. Though a household name now, Galaxy Quest originated from humble beginnings. It was September 1979 when the original crew took off from this site. Now the studio is just a memory. But though the birthplace of the show is no longer with us, the series seems to live on in the minds of many fans who just can't get enough of Galaxy Quest.
I need a miracle. The last episode, please, somebody. That's my only one I'm missing.
Several times a year, the Questarians, as they like to be called, flock to the conventions like this one to reminisce about the show.
It forced us to ask some very probing questions about ourselves and put it in a meaningful context.
From all over the country they come, many of them searching for memorabilia, anything to keep the memory of the show alive.
We got the magazines, we got the mugs, we got the nebulizers,
Oh my God, to see Gwen DeMarco. I've been waiting so long for this. I'm so excited. I can't can't believe it.
If they're lucky, they'll even get to meet the former stars of the show, who have become the main attractions of the sci-fi convention circuit.
I styled my hair after her. You know, I go everywhere just like thinking about her.
But to fully understand how the show has become what it is today, we must journey back more than 20 years ago when it was just an idea in the imagination of Frank Ross, the legendary creator of the show.
Most people don't know this, but Galaxy Quest was originally going to be a Western. It was called West Quest.
That was the original idea that he took the network, was a Western. And there was those of us, I mean, we were the same characters. They were just, you know, walking around in chaps, you know.
Well, we'd already shot the pilot when our research people came to us and said, Westerns are out.
And he went, and that's how stuff happens in TV. He goes, yes! And we put it right away. It went to a Navy show.
I very quickly rewrote the script and made it about Navy SEALs. It's called Navy Quest.
And I said, how funny is this? That we're in the, you know, an old ship and there's no war, Frank.
But there was one problem. The studio was going into bankruptcy, and they couldn't come up with the money. But they did have a lot of props and things lying around from an old space movie they had made.
Boom, all of a sudden Frank goes, hey, I got a space.
It's a spaceship.
Space.
But still, it flies.
Help me with this. I said, well, space. How about space? So I think I had a lot to do with it. He said, space.
Voila, Galaxy Quest.
Obviously, the cast of the show was an integral part of the series' success. But ironically, Jason Nesmith, who played the commander, almost didn't get the role.
We had an A-list and a B-list and a C-list, and just about everybody in town turned it down. I decided we needed someone who was a relatively unknown. In other words, somebody who was desperate.
Yes, I had the reoccurring role on that really lame sitcom. I think we all remember Hello, Neighbor. You remember the joke of the show is that you never saw me from the neck down?
And from there, he became part of the now legendary crew of Galaxy Quest.
You don't want to know the truth? I was never actually asked to audition for Galaxy Quest. They wanted a younger guy. I was on the lot auditioning for ordinary people. I mean, well, Redford and I are like this.
Nesmith mistakenly walked into the Galaxy Quest casting director's office and began reading a scene from Ordinary People.
Come on, Conrad, just let it out. You know, that kind of stuff. We were halfway into the first season before I realized that I wasn't doing Ordinary People.
Well, you know, Jason's all right. He's just, he kind of likes himself.
I think he's wonderful. I don't think every show has to be about him. And I think sometimes he doesn't realize that.
I mean, let's face it, I was carrying the show. The weight of the show was on my shoulders.
Well, I think it depends on who you ask. As far as I'm concerned, I've fed up with him. He seems very inconsiderate, but I have been really in love with him. I think we were engaged for a while, and I think I keep trying to start my life over, but I keep being thrown together with this guy.
Jason was like a father figure. It was a lot of fun, you know, watching him and doing things, and we went fishing a lot of times and stuff like that. A few times he tried to use me for bait.
You know, he's changed. He's become a much better guy over the years. He was very, very difficult to work with towards the end of the series. As his difficulty in finding work increased, it seemed that he became a better human being. And now he's really come around and found himself, and he's a lovely guy to be with.
It's 2 words there. It's Tony Robbins. And he and I are just like this.
Pivotal to the series' success was the casting of Tawny Madison, the ship's only female crew member. Rumors circulated that Frank Ross wanted to hire his Swedish secretary.
Lunga, a terrible actress.
Eventually, the network talked him out of it, and the role was given to Gwen DeMarco, an actress known for a number of low-budget films.
She's always been a pleasure, Gwen. She's been very humble and has been a hard-working actress.
Hard-working? All she had to do is repeat what the computer said when it was working.
Systems register functional.
All systems are working, Commander.
I translate this very technical jargon into language that my crew and the public can understand. So I'm really putting everything into that.
Well, you know, she did the show initially. She'd been asked to do a small part in a Woody Allen movie, and it was either that or the TV series. And, you know, some people would say that maybe she begrudges the decision she made.
Well, if I'd done that Woody Allen movie, even if it was one line, would that have changed my life?
You're picking between, you know, who would have thought Annie Hall would have done that well, or, you know, repeat the computer, you know. It looked as though, you know, our show was, it was a good choice at the time, you know.
When it came time to cast the role of the alien, Dr. Lazarus, the producers turned to Alexander Dane, an accomplished Shakespearean actor.
He was the embodiment of the true thespian, and still is.
Oh, he's a real pro. You know, he's always very disciplined. But he does wonderful, simple things with his character that make a big difference, you know.
He's an actor. He's not an actor like you are here. It's an actor. You have to do it like this, an actor. Because we went to Luger Hagenbau's school or something. He was very, very into his method.
Well, I had come to Los Angeles, having been in a successful television show in England, and I came over because my agent at the time thought it would be a good idea to see what was perhaps on offer over here. And there was a possibility of bringing a very successful play that I'd been doing in London as well. That didn't quite work out, but I'm still hoping that I might be able to get that up and running. Somewhere in there, I went along for an audition for Galaxy Quest, and I got the role.
I played Richard III.
5 curtain calls.
There were 5 curtain calls. I was an actor once. Damn it, now look at me. Look at me!
He was this very elegant British actor who now is forced to wear a plastic head, a rubber head, and spend time at these conventions, but he still carries a certain dignity with him.
I don't mean to get too much into it. It's just that sometimes this, you know, motherland stuff, after a while, better actors and pip pip hurrah and all that kind of stuff, and hello, all right, and it always seems like he's got a better mood. And it's not like there's bad blood, there's just blood between us, you know.
How are you and Jason getting along?
Very well.
Is there any competition?
No.
Is everyone happy?
Delirious.
And we've gotten over all this. You know, we went to, you know, actor counseling sessions, the two of us. They have this whole, it's kind of set up on the 12-step thing, you know, and you got to turn it over to the other actor, and you got to, you know, it got tough there for a while, but only because I don't like British sports cars, and that's basically where it started.
It's lovely. You have to embrace certain people's qualities, and his pomposity is something we've grown to love. He gets a little testy still, but, you know, what do you expect? He's English.
You broke the ship. You broke the bloody ship!
Rounding out the cast were Fred Kwan as the show's Tech Sergeant Chen, and Tommy Weber, who played the ship's 10-year-old crack gunner and navigator, Lieutenant Laredo.
Oh, he was a good kid. I think I ate too much sugar or something. I don't know. And we didn't have much ventilation there.
I shut the set down because I faked a headache. So, you know, being a little boy, they don't know what's wrong with me. Shut the set down for like 2 hours.
Who knows? Coffee and caffeine. I don't touch him myself, but the kid was a great kid, though. Great kid. You know, when he didn't have a headache.
With the cast finally assembled, Galaxy Quest went into production and began its journey. When we return, we'll see how Galaxy Quest was launched. And now, the Galaxy Quest 20th Anniversary Special continues. With the cast of Galaxy Quest finally assembled, the series made its debut on September 14th, 1979.
You know, we had a special effects budget of about 11 cents back then.
For other planets, we had 2 types of rocks, and we just kept repainting them, basically.
It was just kind of a puffing smoke sort of thing, and when the ship would take a disruptor hit, you know, the actors would just dodge left and right, and we'd throw things out of the permanents. It was pretty simple.
Sometimes we'd lay grass and put a red rock. Sometimes we'd have dirt mats and put a blue rock.
We didn't have, like, no carpenter's department, all that stuff. It was us. You know, we had to hammer, nail, glue, tack, hold on to stuff. That's how we had to work.
Do you remember the episode when the Throng people came on the ship? I mean, it was one of our bigger episodes. Came right through the wall. They didn't even stop production. We're over this side, and they're spraying enamel paint over here. Who gets a headache, of course? the kid, because he didn't like, well, who likes all that stuff? But when you're adults, you can take noxious fumes more. Most of our grips, I think, lived on that stuff.
We put some different plants in, pull the plants out, turn the rocks around, paint them another color.
That's how cheap they were. We very rarely ate. I don't even think they paid for oxygen.
From the show's launch, Galaxy Quest had trouble finding its audience.
Kind of like Seinfeld, you know? You know that Jerry and I, we're like this.
But as it turned out, the show didn't get canceled. It caught on, by accident.
The network was broadcasting the 7th game of the World Series between Pittsburgh and Baltimore. And it got rained out. Well, they had to have something to put on the air, and the only thing they had was an episode of Galaxy Quest, which hadn't been aired because, well, simply most people didn't think it was any good.
The amazing thing is that a lot of people didn't realize they weren't watching the World Series until Tawny Madison appeared on screen.
With that lucky break, the show caught on.
Despite the increasing popularity of Galaxy Quest, the TV series, rumors began circulating in 1982 that the network was going to cancel the show.
We couldn't afford to keep the show on the air. At the time, we were selling model kits of the Protector. We were making more money from the kits than we were from the sponsors.
Well, the fans were dedicated, but unfortunately that wasn't enough for the sponsors, who discovered that the people who watched Galaxy Quest didn't actually buy anything.
But not even rabid fans could help save Galaxy Quest, and the show was canceled. But the journey continued. Loyal fans organized the International Brotherhood of Questarians.
Well, Questarian can be many things. It can be somebody who just enjoys watching the TV show and is a real fan and watches it on all the reruns. And it's on in every country in the world, 24 hours a day.
I've met some extremely interesting people who've been very loyal admirers, and I keep in fairly constant written contact with some of them.
There's a lot of fans who like to go to work dressed up as Galaxy Quest characters. A lot of them have named their children after Galaxy Quest characters.
They're really, I think, devoted fans, and they know a lot more than the cynical press thinks they do.
One of the biggest fanatics has got to be Tommy Weber, who basically grew up on the show. I really think he believes all of this.
We have these seminars, and we gather, we have groups that come together, and we try to contact, other life forms and stuff like that. And I heard something like twice already.
The headaches aside, I think the kid got dropped on his head or something.
We have a whole nother world thing that's going on with us, and to the other ones out there, I had to throw that up for them.
Galaxy Quest has become more popular since its cancellation.
It started with letter writing, and it actually is built in later years to a huge internet phenomenon.
Well, I've been following Galaxy Quest ever since I was a little kid, and over the years I've been collecting little memorabilia. Some of this stuff, I've just been gathering these things from the science fiction conventions. When I heard DreamWorks was going to make the movie, right away I quit my job and devoted all my time to getting the message out.
Travis spread the word on the World Wide Web by creating an underground intergalactic website.
You can access Galaxy Quest by logging on www.galaxyquest.com. What you can see is behind-the-scenes photos that no one else has gotten a chance to see. Don't ask how I got it, but I got it. I can answer any trivia that you can come up with. It's like a Galaxy Quest phenomenon.
Well, I gotta be honest, the only thing I know about the internet is that I wish I would have bought Amazon.com when it was at 18.
While it has been decades since Galaxy Quest was first broadcast, it still lives in the minds of many people. Sensing the time is right to bring Galaxy Quest to the big screen, DreamWorks Pictures continues the journey by reassembling the original cast for a whole new adventure.
Never give up! Never surrender! I think it's safe to say I'm excited about it.
And now, Galaxy Quest: The Journey continues. Following the show's cancellation, the cast of Galaxy Quest had little more to do than appear at sci-fi conventions.
By Grabthar's hammer, by the sons of Warvan, I shall avenge you.
These are actors who are so identified with their roles on the show that it's very hard for them to get work.
I teach yoga.
It was this close to getting Miami Vice.
This is a tough business.
I had 5 callbacks. 5, man, for Magnum PI.
There's a lot of rejection.
It was between me and Dirk Benedict for the 18th.
When it was announced that Hollywood was going to reunite the cast for a major motion picture, the Galaxy Quest crew donned their uniforms for one more adventure.
You will save us!
Whew! Your commander is on deck. I think it's safe to say I'm excited about it. I mean, it's, we get to resurrect and do it bigger and broader than it was in the TV show. Laredo, take us out. Alexander flew his guy over from England so he can have the right food.
I can't give away too much about the plot of the big screen version, of course, because that's still under some discussion as to, you know, which character it will center on.
Why are you listening to this fellow? May I remind you, he's wearing a costume, not a uniform.
Gwen got a lot of lift out of this movie, if you know what I'm talking about. Tommy's great. I mean, the whole thing's working out. I don't know this new guy. We had crewman number 6.
Probably don't remember me, do you? It's the sunglasses, right?
Tech Sergeant Shin is back. He and I are really close these days.
That was a hell of a thing.
It's a wonderful film, I think, for the whole family.
It's not actually a feature film. This is a documentary. It's really a documentary. We're just trying to put the message out there subliminally.
It's very funny.
It's gonna be a hoot.
Whoa!
A space hoot.
We'll go for the mouth, the throat, his vulnerable spots.
It's a rocket, doesn't have any vulnerable spots!
What started in the mind of Frank Ross has now exceeded its creator's wildest dreams and will live on in the hearts of fans forever.
I'm just getting so excited just thinking about it. I'm gonna cry.
I really like the gadgets. The gadgets are really neat.
Never give up and never surrender.